Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for our final Q&A here with Misty. And we just want to wrap up some thoughts as we close out the month. And we didn't see any questions come in, so we're just going to do a sort of recap over the last few weeks. And so, Misty, I'm going to throw it over to you. What thoughts do you have when it comes to perfectionism? Anything else that you can help them with or things to think about?
Yeah, so I think it's important for us to understand that perfectionism is really rooted in anxiety, right?
Mm.
So getting in touch with the thoughts that are contributing to those feelings of anxiety is really important. It can be incredibly vulnerable to go there and to sort of face head on what you're afraid of, but it's really perfectionism is a fear-based, anxiety-based reaction, I think. And it's important to remember that in perfectionistic thinking, we're very extreme, right? It's either success or failure, night or day. And we forget about all these little amazing incremental places along the way from our
Mm.
point to accomplishing our goal. And that those little incremental points can be opportunities for self-congratulations and celebration and experiencing the joy of having accomplished something, even if it seems really small. If we start to think of our wins as being little baby steps, that we can celebrate, I think it can reduce some of that perfectionistic extreme thinking about the poles of success and failure.
Yeah, that's a really good thought. And I think that, like for me, I would have never thought of perfectionism as fear-based.
Mm,
You know, I just feel like a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of women I talk to, are just like, well, I'm just really into perfectionism. Like everything I do has to be all or nothing. And I feel like I'm going to fail if I can't do it all.
mm.
Um, and they are afraid of something, but I never would have put the two together if you hadn't said that. So
Well,
thanks for
you
sharing.
Yeah, and you've asked me, challenged me many times when I've expressed something by asking me why. If
Mhm.
I just have to have everything perfect, or I'll be miserable if I don't reach the highest high. And you'd say why? And
Yeah,
then why again, and then why again? Like, to really dig into our whys is important to
yeah,
unroot some of that, because really perfectionism is so unfair to us. It robs us of joy and opportunity to grow.
yeah. And I always say too, like nothing good ever comes from comfort zones, right?
Right.
Like if
Mhm.
we can stay comfortable. So when I talk to ladies about their health journey and starting to work with me, a lot of times the biggest fear there is getting uncomfortable. And the thing is that we will still be in the same place a year from now if we don't do something today.
Yeah.
Um, and our minds are actually wired for comfort and to keep us in that small place.
Mm.
So, in all areas of life, I feel like in order to grow and expand and learn and just move forward in life, we need to get out into that out of our comfort zone and into that fear and just face it, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes we just have to face it head on and do things imperfectly and be okay with the messy action that comes along with it.
Right. We can survive not being perfect at everything we do. And you know what the evidence is? Because we're all still here.
Right.
And
Right.
here's the worst kept secret. None of us are perfect, right? And
Right.
and none of us really, those of us who are perfectionistic don't really believe we're perfect. In fact, it's the thought that we're not that is keeping us from taking risks. You
Oh,
know,
that's
it
good.
yeah. And so here's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately and sharing with some of my clients. When you tell yourself something
Mhm.
like, I can't do, I'm not going to start because I'm going to be crummy at it, your brain immediately retrieves evidence to prove the point that you just fed to your brain.
Yep.
So suddenly you're flooded with all of these moments in your life where you haven't succeeded. Your brain's like, you're right. You can't do it. And so you don't, you self sabotage. But
Yes.
if you think, I have a long-term goal, but I just want to get through the week, drinking more water, moving a little bit. And I'm a capable person. I can do this. Your brain's like, let me show you the evidence.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Right.
Let me show you pieces of memories of you doing that. It's amazing how your brain will support the belief that you have.
Yeah, so true. I just had a call actually with a client last night, and I want to share this because I've had a call like this with almost everybody in this group. And it's always that our mindset has to be right if we're going to do this journey, because what we tell ourselves, we believe.
Mm.
It keeps us there. So many of the women that I help are like, they always find the negative. And this is human nature. Like, this is just what we do anyway. So there's no shame in this. It is like just how we're wired as human beings, to find the negative, to find all the things that could go wrong, to find all the obstacles in the way. Work out. I don't have enough time. None of us do. I can't work out, or I can't join you. I don't have enough money. Well, none of us do, right? Our resources, like time and money, are all based on our priorities. Like, if it's a priority for you, you'll make the time. If your child was in a burning building and are you going to say you don't have time to save them? Like, no, right?
Or the energy, or the, yeah.
Right. So it's just like, yeah, I just think that our mindset is really where it all stems from.
Yeah. And I think
we're looking at it.
I totally agree with that. And if you think about, the fastest marathon runner in the world, forgive me for another one.
No, I love it. I love it.
Right. Yeah.
I miss Boston.
If you think about Boston Marathon champion on Monday,
Yeah.
he didn't win the marathon. He won one step at a time toward the finish line, right? It wasn't, I ran a marathon. It was, I ran step after step after step after step, leading to 26.2 really fast miles. But it was one step at a time toward that goal.
Right.
And we tend to boil it down to this one achievement, but everything that we do is made up of tiny little steps toward that goal. And we got to stop and celebrate those, or we're self-sabotaging.
Right. Right. And I think too, like, we always see the end result of somebody achieving, like, we'll see a before and after. We'll be like, whoa, how'd you do that? Well, they didn't just wake up one day.
Right.
The winner of the marathon didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm going to run a marathon today.
Right.
And go do it. It wasn't like some miracle. They had to put in the work. They had to put in the time. They had to work on their nutrition. They had to work on their training. And they were committed.
And they had to overcome their own internal obstacles.
Right. Yeah. Because who thinks I can run 26 miles if they've never done it before?
Right. And that's why it's so important that when we set out to accomplish a goal, our only yardstick, our only reference point is where we started. We can certainly look at other people for inspiration, but not comparison. Those are two very, very different things. And looking as a point of comparison is a dangerous thing to do. It will shut you down before you even get started. But if you're like, wow, I moved a couple more minutes than yesterday, and you can give yourself credit for that, then you're going to go places.
Right. And I actually saw a reel earlier today, and it was like, you can exercise the way somebody exercises. You can eat exactly what they eat, but your body will never look the way that person's body does, because we're all unique.
Right. Right.
So it doesn't matter. Like, the comparison and the perfectionism and all of these things that sabotage us and keep us from reaching our goals are things that we need to either overcome or just push through regardless of, right? Like, we just have to go for our goals. And think about, like, for me, from where I started to where I am now, like, in the beginning, it was all about, like, lose the 10 pounds, lose the 10 pounds, and shrink, like, lose a size kind of a deal. Now I'm where I was when I started. Now my body looks different because I treat it differently now. But for me now, it's more about, like, what are the cleanest ingredients I can have? What's, like, the most whole foods I can eat? Things like that are important. And it's not about the weight loss. It's more about the value of health overall.
I think that's a really important reminder too, to be really grounded in why you're doing the thing that you're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there are lots of really valid goals, from weight loss to better mental health to sleeping better, to being able to move for your children or grandchildren. There are lots of really, I mean, all the reasons are valid, but to
Mhm.
know your why, I think, is really important. And that
Right.
change is an evolving thing, just like we are as humans.
It does. And I think that it's really important. And I've spoken this to everybody in this group as well. It's important to peel back that onion, the layer
Mhm.
by layer, and keep asking the why. If you ask the why 7 times, you'll get to a point that's so emotional for you that that will be the thing when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't want to do my workout today, or I don't want to eat this healthy meal. That will be the thing that will push you over the edge and make you do it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You
Yeah.
know, but it's so often like the initial, like, I need to lose weight. Why do you need to lose weight?
Mhm.
Why do you think you need to lose weight? Right? What is it going to do for you? What is the quality of life that's going to do for you 5, 10 years down the road?
Yeah.
Do you
Right.
want to carry all the groceries in on one fell swoop? Like feed them onto your arm kind of deal? Do you want to be able to carry your grandbabies both at a time? Like, it's the little things, right? Like, and it's the things that are not the aesthetic things that really matter.
Yep, yep. And when you start to peel back that onion, I think you expose your own perfectionism, and that's when it starts to get a little bit raw and vulnerable. And to have a person, a truly
Yes.
deep trusted person that
Yeah.
you can go to in that vulnerability, the way you and I do,
Mhm.
is everything, right?
Right.
For them to be able to say, I see you struggling. I know your why, and I'm here to remind you and hold hands with you while you're struggling through it. Struggling through perfection, struggling through that vulnerability. I'm here with you. I think that's super important. And that's what your community does.
Right. And that's a great way to wrap up today's episode, so to speak. So if you guys need any help at all with any of this, reach out to me or Misty. We're both here for you. And we love seeing you in the group. And stay tuned for my May challenge. I have a couples challenge that Rob and I are doing together. And then I'll also have a group for the ladies. So stay tuned for that and watch for that announcement coming soon. All right, guys, let us know if you need anything. Have a good day.